Okay, so we ended the last video explaining that limited resources, limited factors of production, paired up with our unlimited needs and wants, results in the problem of scarcity. And that scarcity in turn requires us to make choices. Now, in this video, we're going to introduce the big economic questions when making these choices. These questions are what to produce, how much of it to produce, how we're going to produce it, and who we're going to produce it for. So obviously, we need a way to answer these questions so we can actually get around to making them and consuming them. And there are two main means, two different economic systems to answer these questions. So the first is a centrally planned economy, which in a nutshell is an economic system where the factors of production are owned by the state with no personal ownership, and the government decides the answers to all the economic questions. The second is a free market economy, where we do have private resource ownership, and unlike a centrally planned economy where an entity, which is the government, makes all the decisions in a free market economy are made through something called the price mechanism. And we will cover this in greater detail in Unit 2, Microeconomics. So for the time being, we can think of it like this, that in a free market economy, the answers to the economic decisions are determined based on what people want, based on their preferences, and what people are willing to produce based on their desire to make profit. So it is based on that interaction of what people want and like, and what people will provide in order to get profit for themselves. So we're just going to go over each economic question in each of the systems. In a centrally planned economy, what the government thinks society needs is produced in a quantity and in the method that the government thinks is best, and then this is distributed in the way government thinks is best. So it's quite simple. The government gets to decide everything. Now, in a free market economy, what is produced is first determined by consumer preference. If a lot of people want a particular good, if they demand it a lot, then that good would have a higher price. And that signals producers, firms, to produce that good because firms want to make profit. So it is a combination of consumer preferences with producers' desire for profit that determines what is produced in a free market economy. And in terms of how to produce it, again, the producer's profit motive comes in because since they want to make more money, their production methods would probably be the ones that result in lower costs because that would leave more profit for themselves. So that would motivate them to pursue low-cost methods. And lastly, the goods are distributed to those that can afford it, which I find really interesting here because the last part, that goods are distributed to those that can afford it, actually feeds back into the first part with consumer demand, because in a free market economy, those that can consume more goods, so those that have higher incomes, actually have greater power to influence consumer demand because they have greater purchasing power. So there's sort of this cycle that's here that's slightly different to centrally planned economy where the consumption of the good doesn't really feed back. It's just more the government considering what might be best. So those are the sort of two different systems as ways of answering the economic questions of what to produce. Now, to do a quick wrap up of the Unit 1 content we covered so far, the first is that we have limited factors of production. So limited resources, which creates the economic problem of scarcity. We can't have everything we want. And this problem causes us to make choices, which in turn have an associated opportunity cost with them. Opportunity cost being next best alternative foregone. And when making these choices, we must answer the main economic questions of how much of what we're going to make, how we're going to make it, and who we're going to make it for. And the two main economic systems that answer these questions are the centrally planned economy and free market economy. Now, that's the wrap-up of this video, and in the next video, we're going to introduce the very first diagram in IB economics, the production possibilities curve, the PPC.